Hello and welcome to the DSR Daily. I'm David Rothkopf, joined by Riley Fessler. Wake up, Riley. Ready
I'm
for?
awake. I'm
Oh,
awake.
good. Okay, good. Riley's there, and the snoring you hear in the background is Minna Stein. Come
Good
on, Minna.
morning, David. How are you?
Okay, good. Oh, see, you're really ready to go. All right, Riley, what do we got?
The U.S. has twice aligned with Russia in key UN votes, marking the third anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, signaling a dramatic shift in its stance under the Trump administration. The U.S. opposed a European drafted resolution condemning Russia's actions at the UN General Assembly, instead voting alongside Russia, North Korea, and Belarus. It later introduced a Security Council resolution calling for an end to the war, but without criticizing Moscow, prompting key allies like the UK and France to abstain. The moves have deepened rifts between the US and its European allies, raising concerns about America's commitment to supporting Ukraine and European security.
Okay, come on. It's raising questions? This doesn't raise questions. We switched sides. The United States is on the side of Russia. Now, I know that's hard to believe if you've been alive for, say, the past 80 years, or in the case of Riley and Minna, the past 80, 24 years, say. But the reality is the biggest change in geopolitics in our lifetime happened in the past 2 weeks. The United States is on the other side, pro Russia, pro autocrat, anti Democrat, anti international system, anti alliance, anti NATO. Those are just facts. This is not politics. This is the position of this administration. And whether the next administration takes a different view or not, what is going to happen for sure, the damage that's already been done, is that no foreign government is going to know where the United States is likely to stand for a protracted period of time for many, 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 many years. We are no longer a reliable partner. We are no longer a dependable force for the things that we believe in. And the world is just going to come to grips with that. I was just talking moments ago to a very senior U.S. diplomat, career diplomat, and they said this is one of the most stunning blows to America's standing in the world that have ever taken place, ever. Minute.
House Speaker Mike Johnnson faces growing opposition to his budget resolution, with key Republicans opposing the proposed spending cuts. Johnson's challenge is to unite the GOP, balancing conservative demands for deeper cuts with moderates' concerns over programs like Medicaid, all while trying to meet an April deadline. Despite internal divisions, some senior Republicans remain optimistic that they can secure enough votes to pass the resolution, which includes significant tax cuts and a major debt limit increase.
Yeah, so, what's going to happen? That's why you come here. You come here to find out what's going to happen. What's going to happen is a lot of the cuts are going to be dumped out of the thing, and they're going to rationalize it by saying, well, we have the tariffs, that's some revenue. We've got Doge, they'll be doing some cuts. Don't worry about a thing. Give us the tax cuts now. We'll get to the rest of it later. So we'll end up with tax cuts, and we'll end up with an exploding deficit, and we will not end up with substantial savings. Why is that? Well, because the members of the Republican Congress can't go back to their districts and say, oh, yeah, we cut Medicaid. We cut food stamps. We cut Social Security. We cut the programs that are making our towns viable. And so there will not be a majority of votes in favor of those cuts. And there may not be a budget. I think that's still an open question about whether they'll be able to reach anything, or whether we end up once again with a series of continuing resolutions that are essentially treading water. But this is where the rubber meets the road for these big ideas. My prognosis is looks good for tax cuts, looks good for deficit, does not look good for a lot of these big cuts. Riley?
A second federal judge, U.S. District Judge John Bates, is facing an impeachment effort led by Republican U.S. Representative Andy Ogles of Tennessee, following Bates's ruling that required the Trump administration to restore government health websites removed under an executive order targeting, quote, gender ideology extremism. Ogles' resolution accuses Bates of promoting grave moral evil by allowing access to information on gender-affirming care. The effort reflects a broader trend among some House Republicans to target judges who rule against Trump's agenda, despite the high constitutional threshold for impeachment, which requires a 2/3 Senate majority.
Right. In other words, what Riley is just saying is that this is all performative bullshit. That's the technical Washington term, because essentially these guys are doing stuff that has absolutely no chance of actually resulting in an impeachment and removal, but does have a chance of saying, oh, we deplore you following the law. We are against you following the laws. Please stop following the law. And that's, every single day something happens where they send a message that they don't care about the Constitution, that they don't want judges following the law, that they don't care if the administration is breaking the law, and that Donald Trump should be able to do whatever he wants. Whether they're successful or not is an open question. Certainly, though, this impeachment kind of move will not be successful and is just for show. Minute.
Democratic donors are frustrated and hesitant to contribute to the party, citing dissatisfaction with its leadership and strategies following the 2024 election cycle. Many believe the party hasn't learned from past mistakes. I feel like we would be included in that many, with some donors questioning its ability to defeat Trump-like candidates and others calling for more grassroots support. While donors' morale is low, some strategists predict that smaller, more decentralized fundraising efforts and inspirational candidates could help the party regain momentum in future cycles.
Wow, that's a great analysis. So you mean if we had really good leaders, then that would help us, or if we had a plan, that would help us, or if we knew what we were doing, that would help us, and donors would be more willing to give to people who are more likely to be successful than they are willing to give to people that are going to fail. Is that what you're saying?
That's I'm saying. That's
exactly what we're saying.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. Look, we're going to debate this, and then in a couple of months, it's going to be 2026, and we're going to be into the midterm elections, and there are going to be 30 or 40 seats that may be in play, and people are going to give a lot of money to the people in those seats to win so the Democrats can get back the majority in the House for 2026. And that's going to become the central focus of the party, whether there are leaders or there are no leaders. I think we can count on the party to not do the optimal job on this. But nonetheless, I do think you'll get people mobilized to fund the candidacies to win those districts, because that's the ball of wax right now, folks. And if we lose that by 2028, bets are off as to whether we even have an election or if it's a real election. This is not like filling me with joy here. Riley, what do you got? Something better?
No.
Yeah, no.
French President Emmanuel Macron attempted...
no, that was good, though. Macron really kind of gave it to Trump a little. That's not bad.
Okay, so, better.
Yeah, better.
French President Emmanuel Macron attempted to navigate a tense diplomatic meeting with Donald Trump, countering the U.S. president's claims that Ukraine had taken advantage of American aid and insisting that Russia was solely responsible for the war. While maintaining a friendly demeanor, Macron firmly rejected Trump's narrative and emphasized Europe's significant financial contributions to Ukraine's defense. With UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer set to visit Washington next, European leaders are scrambling to preserve the transatlantic alliance amid growing uncertainty over America's long-term commitment to European security.
I saw somebody tweeting about the now discredited movie Love Actually, in which the U.S. president comes and tries to bully Prime Minister Hugh Grant, and Hugh Grant gets into a press conference and stands up to him and embarrasses him and becomes hugely politically popular for doing it. And I get most of my political insights from movies like Love Actually, as does Minna, I believe.
Not from Love Actually, but from other political movies, yes.
Yes. Well, because nowadays, everybody realizes Love Actually is kind of gross, right? Like
offensive.
Right, exactly. But standing up to the U.S. president and humiliating him, not so bad.
That I'm fine with.
Right, and I think there's going to be a lot of people coming in to replay that scene, whether it's Starmer or others, who are going to say, yeah, Trump has to meet with us, and then we're going to do a press conference. And my guess is Trump will stop doing the press conferences because these people will stand up and say, no, you're lying. The most effective, best moment so far of somebody standing up to Trump is what? Pick one. Riley, Minna, pick one. The governor of Maine. That is correct, Riley. That is exactly what I would have said myself. Where she was in this meeting with him, and she said, no, I'll see you in court. And Trump, it really set Trump off. And then he was like, oh, she should lose and blah, 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 blah. She's not going to lose. She is a successful Maine politician who wins by a lot. He is going to lose by going and taking people on. And that's what needs to happen. Trump has this sort of juggernaut image that he's trying to promote within his party. You can't stand up to me. I'm too powerful. And what it takes is people standing up and saying, no, you're not. You're just a guy. And what's more, you're not a very smart guy and you're not doing very smart things. And there are plenty of us who have our own base of power and we don't need to kowtow to you. And his myth of ability to act with impunity and to blow through any opposition is going to gradually break down. How? Because the governor of Maine, the president of France, and maybe next the prime minister of the UK, and other people are going to stand up and they say, sorry, Mr. President, you're lying. That's not true. We're not going to buy this. It'll be fun to watch, and maybe it'll turn into a better movie than Love Actually, which has got really fucked up sex roles in it, but it got the politics right. And by the way, who wouldn't want Hugh Grant to be prime minister?
Good point.
Right? I mean, he'd be a great prime minister. Right, Riley? Do you know who Hugh Grant is?
I know who Hugh Grant is. I just heard he's an asshole.
Oh, yeah, he may be an asshole. And also, apparently did not like playing in Oompa Loompa. He was very anti-Oompa Loompa.
I'm very pro Oompa Loompa, so that's where I have to draw the line.
Well, I can see that. I mean, in fact, today, for those of you who are not actually watching this, Riley's wearing kind of Oompa Loompa colored shirt.
Yeah, Oompa Loompa orange.
Yeah.
My favorite color.
He's taking a pro Oompa Loompa stance.
I'm actually showing my support for our national parks.
If you just think we're anti everything, we're not. We have things we will stand up for. And Riley will stand up for Oompa Loompas and national parks.
That's right.
It's really brave.
Yeah, no, it is really. He's a political he's a political trailblazer. All right, folks. Well, it's been nice talking to you, and we'll be back here tomorrow talking about more of this stuff. And who knows what fresh hell they have in mind for us today. We'll also talk about it on our regular podcast, which will occur tomorrow and Thursday and all the other days, because we do a lot of these things. And they're really good. And, subscribe to them, but don't just subscribe to them. Become a member of the DSR network. Help support us. Okay? We will direct the first $300 of those funds to getting a couple of new T-shirts for Riley. And I think that, everybody will be happy about that.
And I need them too.
You need some help Riley, get through the winter. By the way, you want some good news? It's March this weekend. It's spring. It's spring in a couple of weeks.
Great news.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Man, Trump really screwed up the winter. I blame Trump. Anyway, thank you, Riley. Thank you, Minna. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we'll see you again real soon.